Hi guys, it's Katie. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to another reading vlog. It's been a little while since we've done one of these, but I'm really excited about today's vlog. Today we're going to be reading self-published books. That was a goal of mine last year, and a goal of mine this year is to read more self-published books. If you're new here and you don't know me, my name's Katie. I'm a freelance editor and I'm also an indie author. I currently have 3 books out. One is called The Anti-Relationship Year, which is like a coming-of-age young adult contemporary novel, and then I have 2 poetry collections, The Sweetest Kind of Poison and Poems for the End of the World. And my 4th book, The Anti-Relationship Year, which is a companion to The Anti-Virginity Pact, is coming out in March. I'll have links to all my books down below if you want to check them out. I'd really appreciate it. Today we're going to be reading some other self-published books. So I don't know how many books we're going to include in this vlog. I guess it just depends on how long the vlog ends up being. But if you guys like this kind of thing and you want me to continue doing this with like every few books that I read, feel free to give this video a thumbs up so I know, and leave a comment down below. You should leave a comment anyway because I love talking to you guys, or maybe suggest some new self-published books that I should read for the next one. But in this vlog I have 2 books that I'm certain I'm going to read. One is Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas and one is Twisted Fate by Jessie Elliott. Birthday Girl is like an age gap taboo romance between a girl and the father of her boyfriend, and then Twisted Fate is a paranormal romance with fae. Basically our main character is a human who accidentally gets kidnapped by the leader of the fae because he thought she was someone else, and then it ends up being a romance between the 2 of them. So I'll check in and see how long this vlog is after I finish those 2 books. And because one book that I have on my Kindle right now is called The Kingmaker by Kennedy Ryan, and I've heard really good things about Kennedy Ryan, so I know I want to read this book. But if the vlog already gets too long before we get to this one, that'll be the first one in the next vlog. So I think that's all I have to say for this intro. I'll have links to a ton of stuff down below in the description if you're looking for other stuff, but other than that, let's get straight into the books. Hello, I'm hoping I filmed an intro for this video so this isn't the beginning. If not, hey. So the original plan had been to do 1 book at a time, and for some reason I decided to start 2 tonight. I don't know. I started with Twisted Fate by Jessie Elliott, which is a fae paranormal romance, and I'm all about the paranormal romances. And I read a book that she co-wrote, or I guess it was a serial, last year, and it was one of my favorite things that I read last year, the Charlie Travesty serial, the 1st volume, and I really liked that last year. So I wanted to try her series that she wrote on her own. This came before the Charlie Travesty serial. I think this was her 1st series. So anyway, the 1st book is called Twisted Fate. So we started that tonight. I wasn't like disliking it, but I wasn't really feeling it. So we got 20 pages in. I read the first 2 chapters and then I decided to jump to something else. I'm still gonna go back to it. We're gonna give it some more time to decide if I want to continue it or not, but for the sake of my mood for tonight, I jumped over to Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas. So this is like a taboo age gap romance. So basically our main character Jordan has to move in with her boyfriend into her boyfriend's father's house. It's a romance between her and her boyfriend's dad. So I was immediately pulled into this one. I'm 37 pages into it, and this is going to be the one that we're sticking with tonight. I've heard good things about this book. I've been really curious about Penelope Douglas just as an author for a while. I feel like you can't even see my eyes, I'm sorry. So I haven't read any of her books yet, so this will be my first introduction to her, and I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really liking it so far. I like her writing style. I've heard this is going to be super steamy. Obviously we have that like taboo element, and I honestly haven't read that many like taboo romances, so I don't really know how I feel about this subgenre, so I guess we're gonna find out. Yeah, like I said, I like it so far. I like it so far because usually with like age gap stuff like this, it's kind of like creepy and like predatory and like grooming, and it doesn't feel like that so far, so that's a relief. Anyway, that's what we're doing tonight. An update: we are now over 100 pages into Birthday Girl and I cannot stop reading. Nothing has happened between them yet. Not really, except for him like checking her out and whatnot, except he did just like go real like alpha male on her and like freak out at her, and he didn't realize until afterwards that he was doing it because he was jealous about someone else looking at her. But I feel like something's gonna go down soon. Hello, I finished the book. I finished reading Birthday Girl. I meant to do more updates while I was reading this book, but I swear I read this in like 2 sittings. I just read it front to back and I couldn't stop, so there was no stopping to update you. So obviously I liked it. Finished it on New Year's Eve, so it was my final book of 2020 and it's one of my favorite books that I read last year now. I absolutely loved it, like surprisingly so. I went into this out of just like being curious about it and not sure if I was gonna like this at all, and then I got sucked in and I couldn't stop reading it, and I'm very surprised by how much I liked it. It was one of those things where like the summary is so outlandish. I was like, there's no way she could pull this off in like a realistic way. Like how is she gonna write this and have it not come off as like completely ridiculous? And I found this book like There's some like ridiculous parts about it, but it was like so believable and so realistic the way that she wrote it. I was impressed. I really enjoyed it. I think she did a really good job with the characterization and making both characters believable and making you feel for both of the characters, and they were just like so alike, so it made sense. Like the relationship made sense. It wasn't just like morbid curiosity, sexual attraction kind of thing. So yeah, I really like this one. I'm really glad that I read it. I'm definitely interested to pick up more of this author's work because of this book. But then when I went to like look at other books of hers, all of the reviews were like very mixed. There's like the 5-star people who love it, and then the 1-stars who were like, this is the worst thing I've ever read, don't touch this book. So I'm like scared now. So if you've read any of her other books and you have a recommendation on where to go from here, feel free to let me know. But from what I saw of reviews of her other books, they're like far more dark and twisted than this one. So like I'm scared. I don't know where to go from here. But I'm glad that I started with this book from her because it seems like this was probably the best place for me to start. Definitely on the steamier side as far as romance books go if you're thinking about reading it yourself. I was very surprised by how much I liked it. Definitely one of my favorites of the year. It's a pretty long book for just like a romance book, but it was very fast paced. I couldn't stop reading it. The build up and like the sexual tension before anything happens between them, so good. We love the slow burns. I hate romances where they like get together within the first like 50 pages. I think we had to wait at least like half the book before anything like really happened between them, and I loved it. Highly recommend. I was so pleasantly surprised by this. I didn't expect to like this one this much. I really liked our main character. Overall, would recommend. Liked this one for sure. So now we're gonna head back to Twisted Fate by Jessie Elliott. We're on chapter 3 of that one, and then I can't decide what our third book is going to be. I have a ton downloaded on my Kindle. I got a free trial of Kindle Unlimited, so now I have like all of these options. So I guess we'll run with Twisted Fate and we'll pick book 3 once we're done with that one. But book 1 was a success. I was really hoping you'd be able to see the sunset, but it's not really picking up as much now, is it? You'll have to take my word for it. It looks very nice. But hello, it is a completely different day. It's actually been quite a few days since I updated you. I'm currently working on 2 writing projects right now, so that's been taking up a lot of my time. But I've also been in like a huge reading mood lately, which has not been the case for a while, so I'm excited. Anyway, we're gonna sit down and try and make some serious progress in Twisted Fate tonight. So yeah, we haven't read anything since the last time I updated you on this book. I think I'm still just to chapter 3, but I'm pretty sure the book's not that long. Yeah, okay, so it's only 262 pages. So low end of the goal, I wanna hit at least 50 pages tonight. High end, it'd be nice if we could get like halfway through the book. So we're sitting here having dinner and I'm about 50 pages in now, and of course my refrigerator starts making noise as soon as I start talking. The book's okay. I'm not loving it, especially not as much as I liked her other series. This one, I don't know exactly what it is. It's like unbelievable, I guess. The main character is supposed to be like super snarky and sarcastic, and she has all of this banter with who I'm assuming is going to end up being the love interest, and it just doesn't feel very natural. Like it's kind of forced banter, because that's pretty popular in books, the like sarcastic banter back and forth. So they're like enemies and they like hate each other. I don't know, it's just like it's not coming across very naturally. It feels kind of forced. I'm getting like whiplash from the pacing. We're 50 pages in and so many things have happened and the character hasn't really had time to process any of it, so I haven't had time to process any of it. Like she just figured out that like fae are a thing because it's a fae paranormal romance. And this is like a minor spoiler, but it happens like the first like 40 pages. Her best friend tries to kill her and she's not even phased. Not even for a second. I'm like, what's going on? So we're gonna keep reading because I feel like I just read an entire plot in the first 50 pages. That's how much has happened. So I don't know where it's going from here. Obviously the romance, but I'm mostly confused. I feel like it could have used a slower build up and some more world building and some more reactions for the characters so far. But I don't hate it. Like I'm still interested. I want to keep reading, but I feel like I need to lie down now. Hello, it's been about 3 days since the last update, but I finally finished reading Twisted Fate. So let's chat about it. I didn't love it, but I do have some things to say. First of all, I'm really glad that I read it. I think it was interesting because I loved her newer serial so much. It was one of my favorite books of last year, so it was interesting to go back and read. This is her first book. So in comparing the two, like she's gotten so much better. She's improved so much, so it's cool to see that because this is a 4-book series, this Twisted Fate series. So she had those 4 books, and then I think the next thing she wrote was the Charlie Travesty serial, even that's co-written, but I don't think she had any books in between. But with having that many books written in between, you can definitely see an improvement. So I'm sure even the later books in this series are probably better. And this first book's not horrible. The writing itself was fine. I just had issues with the storytelling and the structure and stuff. I found the relationship to be too like insta-lovey to get invested in. There wasn't a lot of chemistry between the 2 main characters. And then the plot itself just kind of seemed to go a little all over the place. I feel like there was a lot of missed opportunity with world building. There's a bunch of fairies in this world, and there's like the dark fae and the light fae, and that whole aspect, the whole paranormal aspect of the book, really took a backseat to like the drama and the relationship of the book. So overall, I just felt like the structure and the pacing was off, and I didn't really care that much about the two main characters, because the thing is, if I loved the two main characters and I loved their relationship, the other issues probably wouldn't have bothered me that much. But since I didn't really connect with them and I wasn't really rooting for them or that invested in them, so this was fine. I could still definitely see other people enjoying this. Like I said, the writing was still good. I just have definitely seen an improvement from her with her storytelling, which is awesome. This is her first book. I think it's a great debut novel. I think it's a great first book, but it reads like a first book. So yeah, I'll definitely be willing to pick up future books of hers. This just wasn't my favorite. I don't know if I'm going to continue with this series just because I don't really see myself enjoying it more based on how much I liked these characters and stuff. But if you want to read something of hers, I highly recommend the Charlie Travesty serial. It's one of my favorite things that I read last year. Also, this is like a really small thing, but I feel like I needed to comment on it because it really drew me out of the story, was the main character and her love interest's use of like pet names and nicknames, mainly the overuse of them. So he gives her a nickname. Her name's Aurora. He starts calling her Rory out of nowhere, and his name is Tristan, so she starts calling him Trist. But then he also calls her Sweetheart, which, if you know me, I hate pet names, so like just reading that makes me like ew. But even like looking past my personal hatred of them, he would use the word sweetheart like 8 times in the same conversation. Like every time he talks to her, blah 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 blah, sweetheart, sweetheart, blah 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 blah, like so many times. It drove me nuts, and it just seemed like so unnatural. So that's my like little petty complaint, is how often that was used, and I couldn't unsee it once I'd noticed it, and then I was just like fixating on that. Also, I'm not gonna lie, the main character, Aurora, really stupid, really dumb. She's a senior in college, and for one thing, I didn't really find her reaction to finding out about the Fae world like that believable. She just kind of like jumped and ran with it. Like we talked about earlier, her best friend like trying to kill her. For one thing, that's like never explained, never gone into anymore, and she just kind of rolls with it. And then something else happens that I won't spoil you for because it happens like 3/4 of the way through the book, that also just kind of came out of nowhere and felt like convenient to the plot, but with no explanation. Like there was no reason for it. It was just clearly this was needed to get to the next point. And I don't know if I'm explaining it well, but there were just a lot of these things that were too easy or too convenient in the book, and then they were never explained. They were just like glossed over. Like there was no logic behind it. I don't know. I didn't hate the book. I read it pretty quickly. There were definitely scenes and parts of it that I enjoyed reading, but sometimes I would just get like so pulled out of it just based on the storytelling. I think it all just comes back to the storytelling. I don't know, man. The sweetheart thing really got to me. Okay, so I have decided I'm gonna keep this vlog just to these 2 books. It's not like an overly long vlog or anything, but I think it's gonna take me a while before I get into the next book, so I can either post this vlog now or wait like a few weeks before I finish the next book, because I'm gonna be focusing on my writing projects for a while. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this vlog. I'm really happy that I read Birthday Girl. Honestly, one of my new all-time favorites. Very pleasantly surprised by that book. It was fantastic, and I've been curious about Twisted Fate for a while, so I'm glad that I read that one too. So yeah, make sure to let me know down below in the comments if you'd be interested in seeing another self-published reading vlog, or if you have any suggestions for what self-published books I should read next. But other than that, I'll have links for my books down below in the description if you're interested in checking them out. And if you're new here, you should subscribe and stick around. But other than that, I think I'll just see you guys in my next video very, very soon. Bye.
So hit me. So hit me. So hit me. First a confession. With you, I feel a connection. With